Good afternoon, teacher. My name is Susan Mboso, and my student number is 19701482. And for my project, I will be installing and running the Python testing framework PyTest. Now, a testing framework is a set of libraries that help automate the creation, the execution, and the management of testing code. Now, a Python testing framework just specializes in testing Python code, and some of these frameworks include Nose2, DocTest, PyTest, Unitest, and many more. So, before we start doing any testing, there's a couple of things that we need to do. First of all, we need an IDE installed on our computer. I'm going to be using PyCharm, but Visual Studio Code is good too. We need to install Python, and we also need to install pip, and we also need to install PyTest. So installing Python, that's really easy. Go to the Python official website, python.org, and downloads. This is the latest version for Windows, but if you're using Mac, this is the latest version. So I'm using Windows. Let's try and install this. Let's put it on the desktop. And good. I already have Python running on my system, so I don't need to do all this. I don't really need to do all this, but really all you need to, after downloading, all you need to do is just to install, and that's about it. Now I'm going to PyCharm, or I didn't print. The second thing we need to do is to install. We've installed Python, and we need to install pip. But before we do that, let's see if Python is running on our system. So we do Python dash dash version. Okay, it's installed. Then the second thing we need to do is install pip. Now pip is a package that allows you to download Python libraries and yeah, basically Python libraries. So in order for us to install PyTest, we need to install pip. So usually installing Python automatically sometimes comes with, it installs the pip package on its own, but just in case it's not there, you can just do pip install onm on your ID terminal, and yeah, it's already installed. But I have an older version, which is fine, doesn't really make a difference. Now we're going to use pip, our new package, to install PyTest. So pip install PyTest. Again, I already have this installed on my system, but yeah, after all that's said and done, we can actually get to testing. So right now we have an empty project. There is nothing here. So to start, we need to add some folders. Let's start by adding a source folder. Then inside the source folder, we're going to add a Python file. Let's name it my functions. Okay. So in here, we're not. This is we're going to write the code in here that we want to test, but it's not going to be anything too challenging. It's just going to be a function that will return the addition of two numbers. So def add num1 num2. That's it. Then return num1 plus num2. Okay, let's create another function. We name that one subtract. No, let's name it divide. So it's going to return 1 divided by 2. Okay, let's create another package. We have to create another package for the testing, and we'll name it test, because one really good thing about PyTest is it has this ability to just detect anything that needs testing because you use the keyword test. So automatically PyCharm just knows that whatever is going to be in this folder will be for testing. So let's create Python file. Let's name it test underscore my functions. So this is basically where we're going to have our test cases. First thing we'll do is import PyTest, very important. Then import source dot my functions. As my functions. Wow, I made a mistake there. I'm not looking at for test. Okay. Import first. Functions. Okay. Okay, so let's create test cases now. So we'll say def test. Let's name it test underscore add results equal to my function dot add, and here we will pass. Let's add number. Let's add 1 and 2. 1 and 2. And assert result equal to 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. So assert my result equal to 3. Functions. Why did okay, so basically what this assert statement does is it tests whether a condition is true or false. So does 1 plus 2 equal 3? If it's true, it's going to, the program is going to pass. But if assert is equal to false, if the condition is false, it's going to raise an assertion error, and it's going to stop, or it's just going to show you an error anyway. So let's try this out. Let's test if it's working. So PyTest 1, this passed because obviously 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. Let's try it. Let's try making an error. Let's try deliberately raising an assertion error, or an assertion error message. What is this? So our divide function, let's divide numbers 2 divided by 2 and 4. That should be 2, but we leave the answer at 3. Let's see. Let's deliberately raise an assertion error. So nobody able to the PyTest. Exactly. an assertion error here. Because whatever was here, the condition proved to be false. Then, but, and it also failed. It showed our number of failures and our number of failed tests and our number of passed tests. So that's about it for basic testing in PyTest. PyTest is the most popular testing Python or popular Python testing framework, and for a reason, because it has a bunch of advantages, and some of them include, number one, it's auto discovery. Like we saw while we're doing our testing, we didn't need to make a list or a registry to for PyTest or PyCharm to notice that, oh, okay, this is supposed to be a test. It just knew because we used the keyword test in our files or our Python files and folders. It just knew. Unlike unit test and doc test and most other Python testing frameworks, you would need to make lists and registries. Another advantage is it's the simple syntax we use. While we were coding, we noticed that we were using plain assertion statements. Unlike if you're using most other testing framework, you need to use assert equals and other assertion statements. Then also its compatibility. It has simpler because of its simpler syntax. It's easy to switch from those two unit tests, doc tests, whatever other programming or whatever other Python testing framework. It's easy to switch to PyTest because it's just simpler to read. Then lastly is its community. Since, like I said, it's the most popular Python testing framework, it has a large community, and any questions or anything you need from people all around the world, you could just get your answers if you ask. The disadvantage that PyTest has over other Python testing frameworks is that it has no mocking support. Now, mocking support is it just allows you to use real objects to and build simulations of those objects, so you don't need to actually have them while you're testing. What I mean is, maybe if you want to test out with APIs, or you want to test out with a database, you don't need to actually use the database that you have, so you don't mess up your tables. You could just create a mock of it and use that instead. Now, PyTest doesn't have that feature, but Unitest has it. Another disadvantage is its steeper learning curve. PyTest on its own, uh, it's easy to learn, but if you definitely need other things. Like if you want more users to use it simultaneously, on its own it doesn't allow that. You need to download plugins and for it to work. And yes, it's these features are powerful, but it just makes it broader and a lot more difficult to learn for newcomers. Now, Unitest has a more straightforward method of doing things that PyTest just does not have. The biggest competitor for PyTest is Unitest, because its major disadvantages, Unitest already has it covered, and also its community. Although PyTest has a bigger community, Unitest is not really far behind. And it also has like a large number of people that you could just reach out to for help and everything. So yes, Unitest is PyTest's biggest competitor.